Welcome to Lesson 17, which roughly covers pages 104 to 112 of the Automate the Boring Stuff with Python textbook. In this lesson, we're going to cover the dictionary data type. Like a list, a dictionary is a collection of many values. But unlike list indexes, indexes for dictionaries can use many different data types, not just integers. Indexes for dictionaries are called keys, and a key with its associated value is called a key-value pair. Let's type in a small dictionary and save it to the mycat variable. So in code, a dictionary is typed with curly braces. Inside the braces are the key value pairs. So I'll have a string value for a key, then have a colon, and its value will be the string value fat. And you can have multiple key value pairs by separating them with commas. So I'll have another key and its value, and another key and its value. This dictionary's keys are the strings size, color, and disposition. The values are fat, gray, and loud. And this will just be a dictionary value that describes my cat, so I store it in a variable named mycat. You can access these values through their keys, just like a list. So square bracket, and then I'll type the key, and this evaluates to that key's value in the dictionary. So you can use this in any expression, like I'll just have some string concatenation here to create this string, my cat has gray fur. And dictionaries can still use integer values as keys, just like lists use integers for indexes, but they don't have to start at 0, and they can be any number. So I can have a dictionary like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 for the key, and its value will be the string luggage combination. And then maybe another key 42 for the value, the answer. Now, unlike lists, items in dictionaries are unordered. The first item in a list named spam would be spam 0. But there's no quote-unquote first item in a dictionary. While the order of items matters for determining whether two lists are the same, such as comparing the list 1, 2, 3 with the list 3, 2, 1. Oh, whoops. You can see these are false. Even though they have the same content, the order matters for lists. But for dictionaries, that's not the case. I could have something like eggs equals the dictionary, name Sophie, species cat, age 8, and then have a different dictionary stored in the ham variable that has the exact same key value pairs, except in a different order. And Python will consider these to be the exact same dictionary. So dictionaries have no order. Dictionary might be a poor name for this data type because it's not like the keys are in alphabetical order like the words in a real dictionary, but you can think of the key value pair being like the word and definition pairs in a real dictionary. If you know the word, you can get the definition. If you know the key, you can get the value. Trying to access a key that doesn't exist in a dictionary will result in a key error message, much like a list's out-of-range index error message. So if I tried something like eggs color, there is no color key in the eggs dictionary, so I get a key error. And you can check if a key exists in a dictionary value with the in and not in operators. So I can try to check if the name key or the name string value exists as a key in the dictionary in eggs, and it does. We have that right here. Or if I try the not in operator, I'll get false because it's false that name is not in the dictionary in eggs. Keep in mind that dictionaries are mutable, like lists. Variables hold references to dictionary values. Variables don't actually hold the dictionary value itself. And there are 3 dictionary methods that will return list-like values of the dictionary's keys, values, or both keys and values. And these are the keys method, the values method, and the items method, which actually returns a list of 2 item tuples of the key for the first item and the value as the second item. Now these methods actually return list-like data types. You can see actually the keys method returns a dict keys. So if you want an actual list value of the keys, you have to pass that value to the list function, and that'll return a list value. But you can use these methods in for loops. Like if I say for k in eggs.keys, print k, then I can print them all out. Here, I can use each key in the eggs dictionary inside this for loop. And the same for all the values as well. You know, I have whatever code that uses the v variable that stores all the values. And I can use the multiple assignment trick and have multiple variables in the for loop for the items. So remember how items is actually returns 2 item tuples. The first item is the key and the second item is the value, and I can just store those in the k and v variables right here and then print them out. Otherwise, I would have the tuple values themselves assigned to the single variable, and it would print out these tuples. Just in case you missed it, tuples are basically the exact same thing as lists, except they're immutable and they use parentheses instead of the square brackets. You can also use the in and not in operators to see whether a certain key or value exists in a dictionary. So we have this dictionary stored in eggs, and one of the values is the string cat. So I can check for that by saying cat in eggs.values. And that'll return true because the cat value does exist inside this dictionary as one of the keys' values. Now, it's really tedious to check whether a key exists in a dictionary before accessing the key's value. You want to avoid that key error message. You know, if I say, oh, does the color key exist? No, and then this error will crash my program. So I'd have to have something like if color in eggs, then do something with the color key for that dictionary. And if this doesn't exist, then nothing is done, and that prevents the error message from happening, but it's really tedious to have this if statement every time. So Python gives us a get method that takes 2 arguments. And the first argument is the key of the value to retrieve, just like we have it, color right here is the key that we wanted to retrieve. And then the second argument to the get method is a fallback default value that the method returns if that key doesn't exist in the dictionary. So let's take a look at the eggs dictionary right now. We can see we have the keys name, species, and age. And let's just call the get method and say, oh, we want to return the value for key age, and if it doesn't exist, return 0. But you can see it returns 8 because the dictionary does have the key age. However, we could say, get the color keys value, and if that doesn't exist, then just return the blank string. And you can see since the color key doesn't exist inside this dictionary, it will go ahead and default to this second argument that we've passed, so it returns a blank string. This is really handy if you have some dictionary that's keeping track of, say, how many things you're bringing to a picnic, and then you have some code that says, I am bringing however many numbers of things. But if you're not bringing anything, you want to return a default value. So in this case, returning the integer 0 to the picnic. And I'm going to have to first convert this into a string in order to do string concatenation on it. So you can see because napkins doesn't exist inside this dictionary, we just return the default value. So it says I am bringing 0 to the picnic. I guess I could say bringing 0 napkins to the picnic. So if we didn't have the get method, we just tried to do this with the normal square bracket syntax, anytime we try that on a key that doesn't exist, we would end up with a key error message. The opposite of the get method is the set default method. You'll often have to set a value in a dictionary for a certain key only if that key doesn't already have a value. The code looks something like this. I have my eggs dictionary, and it has the keys name, species, age. If color not in eggs, eggs color equals black. So this will set the color key to the string value black, but only if it doesn't already have some setting in the eggs dictionary. And the set default method offers a way to do this in one line of code. I'll just reset the eggs dictionary. And instead, we can just call the set default method. Say I want to set the color key only if it's not already set so that it defaults to black. So now you can see there's a key value pair color and the value is the string black. Now if we try to set this to something different, say set this to orange, this actually doesn't change anything because the color key already exists. It has the setting black right here, so calling set default doesn't do anything. It doesn't change it to orange. The set default method is a nice shortcut to ensure that a key exists. So let's create a short program that counts the number of occurrences of a letter in a string. Go ahead and open the file editor by clicking File, New File. And I'm going to save this as character count.py. So we'll have a variable called message, and this will keep the string that we want to have the letters counted. So how about it was a bright cold day in April and the clocks were striking 13. We'll just have a dictionary that contains key value pairs of where the keys are each letter and the value is how many times it appears in this message variable. So we might have a key value pair like R is the key and then the value is 12 if the letter R appears in this string 12 times. So we'll just loop through each character in the message variable. Remember, a string is a list-like value, so we can use it in a for loop, and on each iteration of loop, the character variable here will be assigned a single letter from this variable message. But remember, the count dictionary starts off completely empty. It doesn't have any keys in it. But we want to make sure that it starts off at 0 before we start counting that particular letter. So we'll call the setDefault method and say, okay, for whatever letter you have, start it off with a value of 0. So on the first iteration, when this capital I is assigned to character, we call count.setDefault, and it says, hey, if you don't have the letter I as a key, go ahead and create that key value pair and make the value 0. And that ensures that there's no error on this next line when we have, let's update the count for that character to be equal to its current value plus 1. And that's the entire for loop. Then at the very end of the program, we'll just print out the count. So I'm going to save that and then run it. And you can see this program has quickly gone through the entire string and just counted up all the letters for us. So the lowercase w appears 2 times, the uppercase I appears once. Now this program isn't completely ideal because we have lowercase a's counted separately from uppercase a's. So let's just change this slightly. Instead of going through the string in message, let's call message is upper method and then go through that string. So it's basically going through an uppercased version of this string. I'll save that, press F5 to run. And now we can see, okay, so there are 5 A's because all of the lowercase a's have been converted to uppercase. Now, if we didn't have this setDefault method, I'll just comment that out and then save it and then run it, we would get an error message, because the first time that we try to increment a count that doesn't exist, the key that doesn't exist, then we're going to get that key error. Now, this program will work no matter what string is inside the message variable, even if that string is thousands or millions of characters long. In fact, let's try that out. I'm going to go to the automatetheboringstuff.com/files/rj.txt, and this is a text file of the entire text of Shakespeare's Romeo and Juliet. And I'll just hit Control-A to select all and Control-C to hit copy. I'll go back to my program, and I'll change this. Now there's unescaped quotes inside this Romeo and Juliet text, so I'm going to have to use a special trick of the triple quotes, which is Python's multi-line string that you'll learn about in a couple lessons from now. But basically the triple quotes allow you to escape everything automatically and have the string go across multiple lines. And then I'll just end that with another triple quote. So this is one giant string that's being assigned to message. And then the rest of the program is just the same as before. Press F5 to run this, and you can see instantly Python has gone through this giant string and counted up all of this. We can see that in this particular text there's 11,051 letter T's in the entire Romeo and Juliet text. Now this output is kind of messy. This is just printing out the dictionary value itself. If we actually wanted the letter A, it's going to be buried somewhere in the middle here and not at the very beginning, because dictionaries, as I've said before, don't have a specific order to them. So this is basically just printed out randomly. If we wanted a cleaner display of the items in a dictionary, then we could use the pprint function in the pprint module. This will do a pretty print of the dictionary. So let's modify this program a little bit. Go to the very start, and I'll just import the pprint module to get that pretty printing function. And here I will call pprint module's pprint function to do a pretty print. That's basically the same thing as print, except when you pass it something like a list or a dictionary, it'll do a much nicer looking output of everything. You can see all the keys are in order, and it's all in a single column. That's nicer than just having it all bunched together. The pprint module also has a pformat function, which will return the string of what this function, the pprint function, normally prints out. So if you just wanted this as a string, instead of being printed to the screen, you could call the pprint.pformat function. And then I'll just save this to a variable called rjtext. And maybe later you could print out rjtext. This is basically doing what the pprint function does, or do something else with that string. To recap, dictionaries contain key-value pairs. Keys are like a list's indexes. Dictionaries are mutable, so variables hold references to dictionary values. They don't actually hold the dictionary value itself. And dictionaries are unordered. There's no first key-value pair in a dictionary, like a list has a first item. The keys, values, and items method will return list-like values of a dictionary's keys, values, and both keys and values. The get method can return a default value if the key doesn't exist, and the setDefault method can set a default value if a key doesn't exist. The pprint module's pprint function is a pretty print function that can display a dictionary value very cleanly and nicely. If you want that as a string, you can call the pformat function instead.